Howdy Commanders, Echo here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the importance of the most common metal in the game, and that is First Blood. We'll discuss what First Blood is and what it means, its statistical and strategic significance, what you as a player can do to help your team secure First Blood or potentially even secure it for yourself, and what you can do in the unfortunate event that the enemy gets First Blood. The game in the background is a domination mode on Neighbors. We're in the Tier 6 Tech Tree Imperial Japanese Navy battleship the Nagato. We're on the northeast spawn at the Charlie Cap. We are punching up to Tier 7. We've got a Z-23 with us and a cruiser who thinks it's not his job to support us or the Z-23. Well, what is First Blood? Aside from the best movie in the Rambo series, of course. Well, in our game, it's the medal that's given to the player who secures for his team the first ship destruction or kill of a game. Pretty straightforward, nothing complicated about that. More importantly, what does getting First Blood mean? Well, getting the First Blood medal means that you've just turned what started as a fair 9-on-9 fight into an unfair 9-on-8 fight. And we all know that fair fights are for suckers. So when you get First Blood, you've saved your team from being a big bunch of suckers and given them a huge advantage.
Can't even make an opening fucking turn in this goddamn map. Tier 7 should not be on this fucking map.
A little salty in the background. Are we, Echo? Anyway, how huge is the advantage that getting First Blood gets you exactly? Well, I went through 100 standard mode games, tiers 3 through legendary, on a whole host of maps, a whole host of modes, stretching back from May of 2020 through now, late August of 2020. This isn't the biggest sample size, but it is, in my opinion, fairly accurate. And in these 100 games, the team who got First Blood won that game in 67 of those games. This means that if your team gets First Blood, you have a 2/3 chance to win. Right there. As soon as that First Blood medal pops up under the minimap in the data feed, boom, you know you've got a 2/3 chance that this fight is yours. You have a downhill fight. You've gotten guns off the map, you've gotten spotting off the map, you've gotten torp threat off the map, you've gotten smoke screens off the map, you've gotten that disgusting HE fire spam menace off the map. Now you've got the advantage. Now you've got a foothold. Now you can concentrate your fire even more. It's less spread around. You can turn this one kill into a snowball effect and get a second and a third and a fourth. It allows you to more easily win a flank where this First Blood kill happened and push in on that flank, creating L-shaped ambushes, securing caps, and setting up to maintain positions and hold for the win. So in the game, our team has completely conceded the Alpha Cap, and the Reds are also flipping Bravo. Cleveland here is bum rushing the Z-23, and at best the Z-23 can hope to trade with torps point blank like this. Hey Mr. Cleveland, it's a nice ship you got there, with a great looking paint. Be a shame if something happened to it. Blammo! Couldn't have said it better myself, Echo. So let's analyze what would have happened had I not secured that First Blood there. Z-23 dies. Kagero there no longer has a DD threat. Cleveland flips his guns to me. Kagero's got torps for me. Vlad comes around the corner and has AP for me. I'm pretty much up here all alone since our cruiser is not really in a position to help us. I also die. So even though we're down 2 caps to none, because the Cleveland's gone, Z-23's still alive, we've got a good chance of capturing Charlie. Z-23 acts as a check on Kagero, and I'm allowed to take on the Vlad one-on-one, which we're going to see how that goes here in just a second. So how can you set up your team to get First Blood? Well, in a destroyer, you can help your team get First Blood by doing your job, by going and doing the spotting. You need to spot the cruisers and other destroyers, as these two types of ships are usually easier and more valuable to take out for the First Blood. As a destroyer, you can land torps on the battleships, weaken them, force out damage cons so the cruisers can light them on fire, and get your guns going on other destroyers, weaken them for your team to gang up on. Lastly, as a destroyer, you can help get first blood by baiting out the cruisers, getting them to overextend and draw them into your support ships so that your whole team can focus them down. As a battleship, you can help your team get first blood by holding your fire. Resist the temptation to shoot at that first battleship that's still bow in at 18 kilometers right off the bat. And hold that shot until the cruisers start getting spotted. Usually when the cruisers get spotted, that's when a lot of them start turning and giving you that broadside. And if you shot right away, you might still be in the middle of your reload. But if you held your fire, didn't open up on that first spotted battleship, you've got your guns ready for that broadside cruiser. You can also, in a battleship, take note of who the other battleships in your spawn area are shooting at and gang up on that target. And lastly, in a battleship, if a DD gets spotted, you need to shoot at it. Take that shot. Even if it's not a high percentage shot, just landing 1 or 2 overpens for a couple of thousand damage is often the difference that it takes to frickin' take down that destroyer. If you've got a DD in a gunfight, close-in knife fight, your couple of overpens can be the difference of your DD getting out of there with first blood. In a cruiser, you can help your team get first blood by finishing off the low health targets that the battleships have hit with their AP and that the destroyers have hit with their torps. Get your fires going on them, especially the battleships who've had damage con forced out by torps. And then in a cruiser, if a DD is spotted early, shoot it. Shoot it. Shoot it. You are the class that's best equipped to kill those DDs. That's your job, especially early game when they're spotted right out of the gate. And for all classes of ships, to help your team secure first blood, it may be okay to kind of risk it for the biscuit a little bit. Maybe trade a little bit of health, maybe give that little bit of broadside to get the rear guns involved or something. Maybe that DD's about to slink away around the corner and he's on a sliver of health. Maybe you got to swing the stern out to get that rear set of guns on there to really make sure that you take him down, so on and so forth. Early game like that, when you still have a decent amount of health, you can think of it as a resource to trade a little health, maybe make a slightly risky play to secure that first blood, because as we said, 67% of the time by securing that, your team's going to win. And a couple thousand health, I would say, is a good trade. So let's say you're on the opposite end of the first blood, and the enemy team are the ones that got it. All hope is not lost. This is still a winnable fight. 33% of the time you can still make it happen, but it is going to be an uphill battle. So what do you need to do to make sure that this one is one of those 33% of the time? Well, if you notice that the enemies were the ones that got first blood, this instantly became a 15-minute long game. You need to start thinking of the long-term game. In order for the team that got first blood to capitalize on that and make sure that they get that 67% of the time win with that first blood, they need to end the game as quickly as possible. The value of that first blood win and the snowball effect that it creates diminishes over time. So if you, as the non-recipients of first blood, can make the game stretch out, it diminishes the value of the enemy team getting first blood and makes it so that you're more likely to be one of those 33% of the time games where you are the ones that win. This means that strategies like kiting and letting your guns go quiet, repositioning around the map and setting up ambushes go way up. These are already valuable strategies, but they become even more valuable when the other team gets first blood. You also need to think about potentially reinforcing the flank where that first blood happened and getting over to that part of the map so that way it's not as bad of a fight over there for the Blues. You also need to start thinking about potentially winning on points. Since you're already behind on ship count, that's way less likely to be the win condition at that point. So you need to start looking at opportunities to get the caps on domination mode, or maybe even go for the cap circle in capture the base mode. And lastly, you should be looking for opportunities to set up devastating strikes, so that way you can quickly rebound from that ship count differential. I've noticed that oftentimes the teams that don't get first blood but do end up winning are those teams that can get 2 or even 3, sometimes 4 dev strikes and kind of make that first blood ship differential right out of the gate not quite as impactful. Well, that pretty much ends my contribution to this match. After we killed the Vlad there, we didn't actually end up doing a whole lot. Most of our contribution was taking out that Cleveland and taking out that Vlad. But because we got that first blood in this game, we were able to set our team up for success and create that snowball effect. I'll spare you the rest of my sinking there and just go to the end where Kuchizov earns Confederate and we finish off the Kagero for the win there. I do have one last point to make as we take a look at the post-battle results screen and the build I had during that game. And that is, I encourage you to have a sort of disproportionate impact on getting that first blood medal. Now if you think about it, if that first blood were evenly distributed, every player would earn it about 5.5% of the time, or 1/18th of the time, and therefore give their team that 67% odds to win. Well, I encourage you to calculate your rate of earning first blood. And to do this, you just divide your number of first blood medals by the number of games you've played. Now, keep in mind that ranked does also earn you first blood medals, so you do need to calculate this with ranked, add your number of standard games with your total number of ranked games, and then divide. Now, yes, the impact of first blood in ranked is probably a little more significant than the impact of first blood in standard, so that is a bit of a fly in the ointment, but it's still a useful calculation to make anyway. So when you put that number of first blood medals over the number of games total, then you'll get your percentage of first blood earnings, or your rate of first blood earnings. Mine happens to be about 9.6%, or just a little shy of double that distribution you would expect at 5.5. So once you've made your calculation, take a look at it and think, if you're above that 5.5% average distribution, keep it up. You're doing well. That's an awesome contribution to your team. And whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. Hopefully you can grab a couple nuggets out of this video and make that even better. I'd say if you're at or below that 5.5% of the time distribution of first blood, hopefully you can draw a lot from this video, and hopefully you can grow that percentage over time. I would say this is an aspect of your game you should definitely be focusing on, trying to secure that first blood for your team, and hopefully you'll see your win rate go up correspondingly. Well, thanks an awful lot for listening. I really appreciate it, everybody. And as always, stay salty, Commanders.